controversial billboard causing quite the commotion out in Calvert County. It's pro-Trump and anti-Biden, but that's not why some say it needs to come down.
Every day, thousands of people cruise up Route 4 in Huntingtown, and when they get to Bowie Shop Road, well, they see this.
It's just vulgar. It doesn't reflect Calvert County.
The billboard depicts President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris in you-know-what. It says, "Don't blame Trump. You are stuck with these two bleep heads." And yeah, it really does say the word, which is a problem for local Democrat Jeanette Flame.
But wait a minute. Is it true?
This video is brought to you by Extreme Tees. Click on the link below. Make sure you put Kevin in the promo code and you'll get a 20% discount.
Now, are you saving your retirement or are you just treading water? Are you depending on stocks and mutuals when diversifying what you need to boost your funds? Did you know it's easy to move out of old 401ks and invest in precious metals like gold? And that is predicted to go up to $2,500 an ounce very soon. This could be the answer for you. So call the team at Noble Gold. Do it this month and they will give you a 22-karat American Eagle coin. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Now, let's get back to the video. So I guess this lady right here, she's a little concerned. She feels like, having that sign up there might be signaling the wrong message. Well, no, it's true. See, one thing all of us that voted for President Trump can rest good at night. We can lay our head on those pillows and rest very wonderful. I sleep like Sleeping Beauty, knowing that I didn't contribute to this mess. So don't you blame us, all of those right now that suffering from buyer's remorse. I don't want you looking at me like, well, what are we going to do? What do you mean, what are we going to do? It is you who chose to vote for this dude. It is you that allowed them to manipulate your brain. And now you want to ask me, what we going to do? Nothing. We're going to go ahead and finish this roller coaster ride because now we're on it. So I can see this sign may be being controversial if it wasn't true. But let's see if there's some facts that shows that this sign has some validity to it.
And the governor of Maine, Republican, is saying, if you want to get a free hunting license, come get a vaccine. Well, people are showing up. And people are showing up across the board. So, for example...
So wait a minute, y'all. So that's this dude's pitch? And you telling me he got some common sense? So you want us to jump on board with an experiment? No, wait, you know what? I'm sorry. Let me retract that. With an experimental... Okay, because we don't want folks to know that I'm saying, you know what I mean? You know what I mean. Anyway, so you're telling me we should be that naive to just say, well, you know what? I mean, I could pay the $15 or $20 to get that fishing license or that hunting license, but it's a little steep. So I'm thinking I might go down and take the risk to get that, you know what? Also, I can get me a free hunting license. Are we that dumb? Apparently, he thinks that we are. And maybe, based on all the folks that, voted for him, maybe they are, but not me. So right now, that sign is making a lot of sense. Let's continue.
There's a situation where there's an estimation of somewhere between $700 billion and $1.3 trillion if we have more IRS agents and we go after those folks who are avoiding taxes at the top end.
Man, how many numbers are you going to make up? This would be different if it was like a one-off, a random, mistake. But this dude's been doing that with these numbers for many, many years now. And you telling me that they didn't recognize this? Of course they didn't, because this was hidden from them. We saw it, but all those that voted for him didn't. So now as they ride past that big old billboard, they should hold their heads in shame as they look at those gas prices jump up. When they start looking at that inflation, jump up. When they look at that unemployment rate, jump up. When they look at all of the crap that's popping off overseas, jump up. Yeah, all they can do is point the thumb and not the finger. But hey, me, I sleep good at night knowing that I didn't contribute to this chaos. but let's continue.
I think we have to to reclaim our place as the leading innovator in the world is to my expectation and hope is that this will be with the Prime Minister of Israel, and I think that my hope is that we'll see this. You guys are back.
Man, so that's this dude's solution to all of these world conflicts is I hope that my hope is you know that Israel maybe this dude just wrote a whole song with one word in it. Nothing else to say, Joe. I walked away, and all I got out of that whole statement was, you know, I forgot what the question was. All of that, erased my memory, because I don't even remember what I asked. I asked the question, but all I got was, and this dude just walks away. Well, all of those that might look at this little clip that we watched and say, what the heck is he talking about? Well, if you voted for him, there you go. You're stuck with them. But let's continue.
And I'm not supposed to be answering all these questions. I'm supposed to leave, but I can't resist your questions. But I want to make it clear to you
Yeah, you're right. You shouldn't be answering no questions when you come right back to those that's a part of his normal vocabulary, and they know it. I will be glad when they just finally come out and tap out and say, look, man, we knew this dude has something going on up top. We can't hide it anymore. It's greater than us. It's greater than all of the liberal media making up stuff and saying it's a stuttering problem. It's beyond that. But you know what? I sleep good at night. Let's continue.
Tonight with Joe Biden projecting weakness on the world stage. Frankly, it's an embarrassment.
Joe,
now, here's what drives the driver in the states that are affected. Here's what you can do, the drivers. Don't panic, number one. Do not get more gas than you need in the next few days.
Okay, wait a minute. Just the fact that Joe's talking like this is making me panic. Just the fact that this dude got rolled out and said, all right, here's what with drivers, the drivers wouldn't make it. And I'm looking at those hands and I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Are you about to go kung fu fighting? Huh. All of that. Like he was about to deliver a judo chop. No. See, the drivers, I don't even know who the driver is. I mean, am I the driver? Is the driver driving me to do something else? Is it an internal drive within me? Or are we talking about a physical drive? We don't know. Neither does Joe. That man right there is winging the heck out of this whole conversation and making me a little more concerned. And that's why that billboard is correct.
And I also want to say something to the gas stations. Do not, I repeat, do not try to take advantage of consumers during this time. That's not who we are. We do not believe, I emphasize, we do not believe the Russian government was involved in this attack.
Now wait just a minute. Did y'all see Joe? Yeah, he had a moment of being serious, y'all. Do not. I repeat, do not. What was I about to repeat? Something about something. Oh, wait, I got gas. Okay, wait, no. Can I start over? Okay, wait a minute. What did you tell me to do? Lean in and make it look like I know what I'm saying? Okay, wait a minute. Donut. Donuts. I want some donuts. No, do not. Do not. Do not do what? No, Joe, you know what? Just read the teleprompter. What teleprompter? It's right in front of you, Joe. This one? Hey, there's Joe right in there. This guy right here is nuts. But hey, we told him so. So every one of them that ride past that billboard and see it, you can't get mad. All you can do is hold your head in shame and say, you know what? I brought this on myself, and I got to ride this roller coaster for the next 4 years. But let's continue. You see Joe drinking out of that gas thing. All right, here we go.
But we do have strong reason to believe that the criminals who did the attack are living in Russia. That's where it came from. We're from Russia. My administration is continuing to safeguard our critical infrastructure, the majority of which is privately owned and managed, like Colonial Pipeline. Private entities are in charge of their own cybersecurity. And we know what they...
We know.
And America...
Now, see, guys, did y'all see that meme? All of those folks who've been running around talking about fascism and I'm a never Trumper, got to go to work just like all of us. All those folks that hate Trump got to put gas in their car just like all of us. They were not wise enough to see all the benefits of Trump because they were tricked into seeing false narratives about Trump and his wickedness. Yeah, that's right. He's a racist and a white supremacist and all of that stuff. They were tricked into believing all of that garbage, and they missed out on those low gas prices. That's right. So now, when you go to that gas station and you're like, what, $5 a gallon? What the, oh, I voted for Joe. Well, I brought this on myself. You better dust off those hush puppies and get to walking. Now let's continue.
And America's enemies, they are taking note tonight. From cyber attacks to proxy wars, you have an alliance that has emerged with Iran and Russia and China.
All bad.
Yep, all ramping up their malignant activity.
Whoa.
On Friday, the largest oil pipeline network in the U.S. was shut down because of the cyber attack, reportedly linked to Hillary's favorite country of Russia.
Russia?
This pipeline transports nearly 50% of all gas consumed on the east coast of this country, and that's including fuel that is used at our military bases. So make no mistake, this was a major attack. And not only are gas prices already skyrocketing, they will go higher. Now gas stations, we can report at this hour, they're actually starting to run out of fuel, and our military was also impacted.
Now, see, you know what, y'all? My question is, why wasn't none of this happening when Trump was in office? I don't understand. How is it that the man that they claim was so chaotic and his whole White House was in disarray? This guy brought decency and order and stabilization to the whole globe, but yet creepy, sleepy, sloppy, sleazy, slimy Joe gets in, and in a matter of 4 months, everything crumbles. So now we got one pipeline we're relying on. That's interesting because the first thing he did is shut down the Keystone Pipeline. Now we got to rely on goods and services and natural resources from countries that would love to see our demise. That's smart. Here I'm thinking, as a leader, the first thing you should do is secure your ability to supply your military, your own citizens, medicine that we might need. But what did they do? They outsource all the things that we need to other countries. And now that one pipeline that we're relying on has been compromised. And I'm saying, didn't we have a backup? Oh, so y'all don't believe in backups? Okay. Y'all don't prepare for rainy days. Y'all don't have enough discernment to know that you don't give up your position when it comes down to being number one. I guess some Americans are okay with not being America first, but America like somewhere in the middle. Maybe America at the very end. I don't know. See, they're not going to realize it until all of this stuff comes knocking on their front door. That is when they'll ride past that billboard in the beginning of this video and say, darn it. You know what? I can't even hate on that billboard because it's true. This right here makes me stay up at night. But not me. Kev from Kevin's Corner. I didn't do this. I get to sleep good at night. But let's continue.
So the pressing question of the night, Joe, how will you respond?
Yeah.
My guess is they will do absolutely nothing. Well, you might want to call Hunter. He got the $3.5 million deal with the First Lady of Moscow, the wired money from the Russian oligarch. We also have China's military, their expansion into the Pacific and the Arctic, even as China is publicly threatening Australia with a long-range missile attack and a strike. And in February, Joe rewarded Iran, we told you about this, by ending UN sanctions put into effect by Donald Trump and his administration. And remember, Iran is the world's #1 state sponsor of terrorism.
See, there you go. One, I have no idea why any American Jew voted for Joe Biden. I mean, this guy lets people in his party run rampant when it comes down to anti-Semitic language, hating Israel, being flimsy on Israel. I don't get it. Secondly, when you look at all of these hostile countries, why weren't they being hostile towards President Trump? I mean, if you'd have listened to the news and the Democrats, we were not respected on the world stage. Everybody was laughing at us. We looked weak. Isn't it funny how that weakness kept Kim Jong-un from firing off rockets? Rocket man. It kept Vladimir Putin wasn't invading Crimea. It kept Xi from messing around with Hong Kong. But now they're emboldened. Why are they all acting a fool? It kept Iran from acting a fool, but now all of them acting a fool for what? Well, it wasn't because they disrespected Trump. What was, or it's not because they fear America. They feared a good American president who let them know, I'm not trying to hurt you, but I will if I have to. See, now they got creepy, sleepy, sloppy, sleazy, slimy Joe in office, and now they're all acting a fool. So now the man that's supposed to bring stability and all of that stuff to the country has created chaos. But the guy who's supposed to be chaotic brought stability to the country and the whole globe. And I wonder why. So this guy gets into office, creepy, sleepy, and what does he do? We had Iran on the ropes. We were like Mortal Kombat, finish him. Iran's wobbling. And just like Obama did when we had him on the ropes, step in, relieve the sanctions, start giving them more money. And what do they use that money for, huh? What? To broker peace, perhaps? To help their own people? No. They use that money for more rockets to give to Israel's enemies, more terrorism. That's what they use that for. So we got another dumb leader. Or do we? Because honestly, I pretty much can bank that Joe has no idea that any of this is taking place right now. What? Israel's doing what? Wait a minute, is that the one guy who sings gospel music? Oh, that's not the same Israel? Okay. Well, is he real? Wait, how do you say it again? Okay, where is that located? Shh, Joe. It's time to go to sleep. Yeah, I like sleep. Let's continue.
Stop and look at the fact that our own country is enabling it with billions of dollars every year being issued to Israel, even though they are promoting racism and dehumanization.
Now, see? So not only are all Jewish Americans a knucklehead for voting for this party, but all Christians are too. You hear that, lady? Now, I don't know about you, but as a Christian, you know one thing, that any country that hates Israel, God doesn't look very favorable upon. And yet we got a party in our country who knows the history of the Jewish people. And yeah, they're tolerating people like her. The whole squad, all of them, are quick to jump on board with the Palestinians, with Hamas, with anybody but Israel and America. And it's funny because all of these anti-Israel congresswomen and men are also anti-American. How did you get into Congress? Are you a mole? Of course you are. And yet our Democrat Party is not chastising you. I'm very proud of the Republican Party who got rid of Liz Cheney. At least some of them got enough common sense to know that you are not on our squad. But yet, those Democrats, man, oh, well, you know what? Those are just kids being kids. And yet Christians vote for them. Jews vote for them. Black folks vote for them, and they've done nothing for none of these people. Now let's continue.
And as we speak, the hostile regimes, get this, they continue to fund proxy wars across the region.
Members of the squad wasting no time condemning Israel for the strikes. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar took to Twitter saying this: Israeli airstrikes killing civilians in Gaza is an act of terrorism. What? Palestinians deserve protection. Unlike Israel, missile defense programs, which such as an Iron Dome, don't exist to protect Palestinian civilians. It's unconscionable to not condemn these attacks on the week of Eid. Republican Senator Ted Cruz fired back at Omar, saying this: why is a member of Congress acting as a press secretary for Hamas? Does Biden agree?
There you go. Ilhan Omar at it again. Some people did something. I really believe that if Israel was wiped off the map, Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Alexandria Cortez, and probably several other Democrats would celebrate. They would be completely okay with that. And maybe they just don't understand the severity of this. It would be different if they felt that Palestine or Hamas was saying, hey, look, man, we just want peace. Yes, there's a solution. We could all live in harmony. But they're saying, I want them wiped off the map. They don't have the right to exist. Now, should Israel just roll over and say, well, man, we know your threats. We hear you. We know that if y'all ever get the upper hand on us, you're going to make sure you eliminate us. And yet, just so the world would not look at us as bullies, we'll go ahead and concede. We'll go ahead and concede and let you wipe us off the map. You know what? Self-destruction. America has politicians that are self-destructive, meaning they're tearing up not only our country, but they want to see other countries be torn up too. People like Ilhan Omar, who comes from chaos, should be able to recognize chaos. And now you bring that chaos here? Man of life.
A few days ago, the U.S. Navy intercepted the ship in the Arabian Sea en route from Iran to Yemen. What was in that ship? It was carrying a massive amount of missiles, grenade launchers, sniper rifles, other Chinese and Russian-made weapons bound for the ongoing proxy war in Yemen against the Saudis. By the way, so that's Russia, that's China, and that's Iran fighting a proxy war against a group we're now aligned with. That would be the Jordanians, the Egyptians, the Emirates, Israel, and yes, the Saudis. Who would have thought about that 5 years ago?
Not me.
Earlier today, the terrorist group Hamas, backed by Iran, in their charter, they call for the destruction of Israel. They launched a rocket attack on the holy city of Jerusalem. This hours later, Israel responded with force. They attacked Hamas targets in Gaza. And following the strikes, the Israeli embassy in the U.S. tweeted, quote, imagine if a terrorist group was firing rockets at Washington, D.C. or London. Imagine the people of Paris or Tokyo running into bomb shelters. Israel will defend itself from attacks on its capital.
Now, I find it absolutely hilarious that for some particular reason, all of these activists who hate Israel always want Israel to respond with measure. Yet the folks that are attacking them are spineless because they hide amongst the people. Probably to make Israel look like a bad guy, because see, they don't care about their own people's lives. They look at them as, sacrifices. They're looking at them like you will be rewarded in heaven. And so they know that if Israel handles it the way they should, by saying, look, we're going to go ahead and neutralize the threat, even though the threat is dwelling amongst all of their citizens, trying to either, one, keep us from attacking or responding and killing them, and two, if they do, then it provokes all of the other countries, and they start looking at Israel like, man, I don't like that, man. They killed all these innocent people. Not to mention, though, that Hamas hid amongst those innocent people while shooting rockets over at Israel. And yet you got activists like Ilhan Omar, Tlaib, darn AOC, all of them wanting Israel to tiptoe around all of that. Yeah, go ahead. Let them go ahead and treat you like a punching bag. You shouldn't respond. Any other country would respond viciously. But when it comes down to Israel, shut your mouth and take your medicine. That lets you know something bigger is working against Israel. My gut tells me there's some spiritual elements involved. My gut tells me, just like all of these surrounding countries of Israel don't know why they have this internal hatred towards Israel. When you look at the Bible, whether you believe it or not, the Bible talks about this. It said that all of these nations will be surrounding Israel and not able to deal with them, because every time they go to grab them, it's going to be like picking up a sharp stone in their hand and cutting their hand to pieces. All of those surrounding countries, yet that little small country the size of Iowa is keeping them all at bay. Why? Because one, I think they have the favor of God for now. And two, they don't play when it comes down to responding, because if they listen to all these idiots, they would be wiped off the map. They would go through another situation like the Holocaust. They've learned what not to do. And so all of these other countries have that built-in desire to just say, man, I don't like them. I don't know why I don't like them. It's like a cat and a dog. They have no idea why they hate each other. Cat just like, man, I don't know, man. I just don't like them. And the dogs are like, man, I don't like them cats, man. They always rolling around here. Yo, my dog, man, what's up? And the cats are talking like, yo, cat, man, what up? Man, you know what? We about to meet in the alley and go to war against the dog. But we don't know why. We have no idea why we hate each other. So this battle between these countries have been going on for centuries. And now it just seems like it's all coming to a climax. And some of the actors that are involved in pushing this and are being really useful idiots, they are fulfilling Revelation. They're setting the scene for all of these countries to turn on Israel. And when you hear the U.S. tolerating folks like Tlaib, we might end up being in that category of a country ran and by Democrats. For some reason, they're just not loyal to not only our country, but Israel. It's like they hate our country and Israel. And God help us. Let's continue, though.
We also showed you the elaborate tunnels constructed by Hamas, used by terrorists to bypass border security, carry out attacks in Israel. These tunnels, by the way, were constructed with American and Israeli funding, Israeli-American concrete and electricity, all meant for hospitals and schools and infrastructure. Real infrastructure, not Joe Biden child care infrastructure. This is why the Trump administration stopped and halted millions and millions of dollars in aid to Palestine.
What?
Instead of helping the Palestinians, the money now, Joe Biden pledged over $200 million now a year. That funds the terror group Hamas, which rules Palestine with an iron fist. But guess what? Biden's already reinstated that.
Democrats, man. Democrats. They are a part of some of the worst things on this globe. Let me understand this. We have Iran on the ropes. Y'all help refund them, resuscitate them. We could have just let the clock run out. We could have just sat back and said, you know what? The heartbeat is starting to faint. And yet they come in, get out of the way, clear. We had Border Patrol booming. They were beating back all the crossings, making sure those coyotes don't come across. And I'm sure all of those drug lords and cartels over there didn't like that. Had them on the rope messing with their money. But what do Joe come in and do? And you know what? We're not deporting anyone. We're not telling folks you need to stay in Mexico. Matter of fact, we're going to cease building a wall. Put them back in business. Why is it that when we have people on the ropes, benefiting us, benefiting our allies, Democrats come in and say, let's create chaos. Here we have folks going, man, I might not like Trump, but I know what he'd do if we act up. So at least respect him. And the Democrats come in and remove all of that. And things become chaotic. We had border control coming to a halt. We were shutting that mess down. Democrats come in, open up the border. All of the things that we had success in, they came in and wiped it out in 4 months. Because that's probably been a part of their whole goal and objective a long time ago. And Trump messed around and sabotaged it, and now they got to make up for lost time on our dime. Now let's continue. But you know what? I get to sleep good at night because I didn't support this mess.
That aid to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. And lo and behold, now that they have the extra money, the rocket attacks are back again. Sadly, it didn't have to be this way. There's never been a greater ally to the state of Israel than former President Donald J. Trump. Not only did he move the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, something many presidents promised but never followed through on, but his peace through strength policies, his steep financial sanctions on America's enemies, restored order to the Middle East and an alliance that nobody ever thought possible, and the Abraham Accords. And let's not forget about the near miraculous peace deals, all brokered by the Trump administration, let's see, between Israel and multiple Arab states. Sadly, some Republicans hated Trump so much, they were willing to risk all of this just to get him out of office. A warm milk sippy cup Joe is floundering tonight in the face of multiple crises. Now, the conditions on the southern border are worsening by the hour.
Second are reconstruct. You had to deconstruct the horrible situation that the Trump administration had created at the border. Deconstruct it so you can reconstruct a better system. And they have.
What? Sure enough, I'm glad you responded to that. What? You know what? I'm upset that Nasty Pelosi would even try that mess. Did you hear old bag of bones, monkey paw hands, Nasty Pelosi? Come on. See what you got to do. You got to reconstruct before you construct the reconstruction. Because Trump messed up the original construction. So we came in and constructed the reconstruction of the repercussion. And then that's what you got to do. So, if I'm understanding Nasty Pelosi, she's saying that even though border crossings were down, illegal border crossings were down, and we were getting rid of all of those beds to let them know, hey man, this ain't no hotel. We're not preparing for you guys to come here and stay. In fact, we're downsizing because the number of crossings are going down, which should be all of our goal here in America if we are against illegal immigration. We would hate to send the wrong signal by building more beds and space and more facilities. That might just send the signal, come on, we want you all to come, hurry up. Not to mention getting in office and saying, yeah, you should flood the borders, there should be a surge. And saying, no longer will I deport folks, put a halt on deportation, let us review stuff. No, don't make them stay in Mexico. These folks were coming with Joe Biden t-shirts. Yeah, Joe Biden, we're coming to America. It's Joe Biden. He's coming for a better life. He say, the first 100 days they're gonna let us. And we're coming. Joe Biden let us. See, we're coming. All of that. And yet here she's talking about Trump tore it down. Now that's odd. I would think that if you're looking at 30,000 crossings before Trump left, and then a huge surge like that, you might want to do a scientific experiment by saying, what's the difference? What is the factor that changed? Joe Biden. Democrat rules. That's what changed. They ushered in the chaos. And yet they're trying to say that somebody else is responsible for the chaos. But hey, I can sleep good at night. Let's continue.
The pipeline cyber attack raises serious questions about real vulnerabilities to our energy and our infrastructure. A lot to digest there. I'll let you take it anywhere you want.
Every one of these crises you mentioned were created by Joe Biden. Joe Biden is a human pandemic. That's exactly what he is. From the border to the currency to inflation, the price of food, the price of gasoline, the price of toys and plastics and steel. Go right down the list. He has opened the Pandora's box to inflation, and that is a hell of a tough box to shut. But the Democrats are used to these sort of things since they create inflation and recession and depressions all the time, taking our money and money that doesn't even exist and throwing it all over the place to give money to its base as they follow this Marxist ideology of class warfare and oppressor. I want to talk about Israel for a minute. Donald Trump was the biggest defender of Israel in the history of the Israeli state.
Tear them up.
Obama and Biden were the worst allies that Israel ever had. And they sided frequently with Israel's enemies. In fact, they cut off the supply of arms to Israel when Israel was under attack at one point. They gave the most heinous speech on their way out against the state of Israel, and they treated the prime minister like crap.
Like crap?
Donald Trump changed all that in September. Just 7 or 8 short months ago, peace was breaking out. Peace deals were being signed on the south lawn of the White House. Israel was on the precipice of having a peace agreement with Saudi Arabia. Now look. Biden comes in and he has surrounded himself with more Israel haters than there are fans in Yankee Stadium. They're Obamaites and worse. And what do they decide to do? Immediately give hundreds of millions of dollars to the Palestinians, which Trump had cut off because they wouldn't commit to not using the money for terrorism. What else do? They're looking to fund and support the Iranian regime, which is trying to have long-distance missiles with nuclear warheads that can not only hit Israel, but the United States. This Iron Dome stops about 90% of the missiles. Can you imagine if one nuclear missile gets through?
That'd be
bad. Our enemies see this. Joe Biden is the greatest president, not for our allies, but for our enemies. Hamas sees it. Islamic Jihad sees it. The Palestinian terrorists see it. That's why they're doing what they're doing. The communist Chinese see it. They thumb their nose at Biden. Putin sees it. They all see it. It's much more dangerous.
And wouldn't you like to see it, too? If you got some glasses to see through all the propaganda and bullcrap and nonsense, you'll see it, too. Just like I saw that billboard and said I got to do a video about it because it sums up everything. We are stuck with these two crap heads for the next 4 years. And everybody who got caught up in the propaganda and gaslighting, you contributed to that. That's right. I hope that billboard haunts you at night. Now, Mark, let's finish hearing you destroy and expose Joe Biden and those corrupt Democrats.
Dangerous world as a result of Biden being in the Oval Office. He is absolutely pathetic.
Yeah, he is.
He's undermined our military. He's undermined law enforcement. The borders are wide open. He's killing the currency. Inflation's going through the roof. He's the Jimmy Carter of our he's the Hugo Chavez of our economic system. Now, I have a question to ask. I have a question for President George W. Bush and Vice President Dick Cheney.
What?
Where the hell are you guys? Can't you get the chips off your shoulders? Donald Trump defeated your candidates and defeated your brother fair and square. The American people supported you. Those of us who are watching now, many patriotic Americans, tens of millions, voted for you, supported you. You asked them for your support. They defended you when you came under attack by the same people who attacked Donald Trump. Yeah. And you have done nothing. You've said nothing about what Joe Biden is doing. Are you not concerned about what Joe Biden and his party's doing in our classrooms and indoctrinating our children, our racism? Are you not concerned about what's going on the border, the drugs, MS-13, the sexual attacks that are going on? Are you not concerned about the efforts to destroy the independence of the judiciary and the Supreme Court? Are you not concerned about their efforts to pack the Senate for all time, to undermine the Electoral College? Are you not concerned about their effort to steal our electoral system so Democrats can't lose any time in our history?
He's hot.
Where are you, George W. Bush? Where are you, Dick Cheney? George W. Bush, there's a big article about how he's best friends with Michelle Obama. Have you read her tweets about how she hates America?
Oh.
Why don't you speak up?
Yeah, man.
And Dick Cheney, with all due respect, I supported you. I supported your daughter, of course. Your daughter, does she not see what's going on in this country? That we're facing these forces that seek the destruction of our system, our economic system?
Word.
Our immigration system?
Word.
That she has such a hate on for Donald Trump and Donald Trump's supporters? That they had to remove her as the third top Republican in the Republican leadership because she wasn't leading? This never-Trumper crap has to stop.
Oh.
You never-Trumpers, you left-wing Democrats, and of course the media and the rest, you brought us to this point. This country was flying high. The economy was turning around. The borders were secure. Our military was being reinforced. Our cops were respected. Everything that could go wrong is going wrong. Not because of nature, not because these things are just happening, but because the Democrat Party is ruining this country, and the guy in the Oval Office is ruining this country. One final word to you, Joe Biden.
Help yourself.
The Israelis have been hit with 1,500 missiles produced by the Iranians. They're aiming at their population center.
I'm his hype man.
Whereas the Israelis are trying not to. And the best you can say, Joe Biden, is the Israelis have the right to defend themselves. The Israelis don't need you, who've been in Washington for half a century, to tell them that they have a right to defend themselves. The Jews have been defending themselves for 4,000 years without your permission. Why don't you state out front tomorrow, we stand with our ally Israel and against the terrorists who are shooting missiles against them? Why don't you tell Tlaib and Omar and AOC in your party, these anti-Semite Marxists, why don't you lecture them about what they're having to say and so forth? Where is the Democrat Party today? You're destroying America. You're undermining our ally. And let me say it again. If Donald Trump were president, none of this would be happening.
Bingo. Y'all, my man, Mark Levin, the great one. Y'all, I had to get hype. I had to be his hype man. That's right. I didn't even know his whole speech word for word, but I lip synced it. I was out there like, oh, you know what? I'm going to have to reenact. I'm going to have to go ahead and show y'all how I'm sure he felt on the inside. Because I did. I was upset as I listened to all the wonderful things that were happening to America. And in a very short time, they all unraveled. Now, the only difference is who's leading the country. So yet, those folks who ride past that billboard that we saw in the beginning of this video, don't you complain. Don't you get mad. Don't you say that's not true. Because right about now, it's quite enough to hear a rat licking ice. It's quite enough to hear a rat peeing on cotton. When it comes down to all those folks who told us things are about to change now that Joe Biden's in, he's going to bring us back to some stability. This dude's not even mentally stable, and yet you're telling me he's going to stabilize America and the rest of the globe. All he did was weakened us and turned us into a wounded animal, laying out there for all of our enemies to take a bite. But hey, you know what? If we get eaten, at least I get eaten knowing that I could sleep good at night. Because I didn't contribute to that mess. Now you look at that sign every day and like it. God bless y'all. God bless America. Yeah, man. And the fun begins. All right. Now, don't forget to hit that like button, share, subscribe to the video. Check out all my sponsors, all of that good stuff. Those that want to donate to Kevin and Kevin's Corner, feel free. There's links below this video to do so. And all of those that have been supporting my channel, watching my live shows, man, I can't tell y'all how much I appreciate that. All right. So let's keep this thing going, and we'll see y'all next time in Kevin's Corner. God bless. Check out Extreme Tees, my sponsor. The link is below this video. If you click on it and put Kevin in the promo code, you'll get a 20% discount. And finally, don't forget to hit like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification button. And if you'd like to donate to Kevin and Kevin's Corner, there's links below this video to do that as well. Okay, God bless you and God bless America.